What is up, guys? Come back at you with another video, and today we're going to be checking out the top 10 dog discoveries in Asia that left people speechless, part 2. Now, without further ado, let's get into it, shall we?
I'm your host Woody, and today we're going to be taking a look at the top 10 dark discoveries in Asia that left people speechless. Part 2. Number 10, Haunted Takeaway. This story comes from a cafe in Hong Kong that did a lot of delivery orders to customers' homes. One day they received an order for 4 meals and they brought it to the address they were given. The customer only opened the door a crack, sliding the money through and telling them to leave the food on the floor. When they checked the register that night, they discovered the money they were given had turned into hell money, which locals use to burn for use in the afterlife. This happened a few more days in a row, every time going to the same home and the money turning into hell money. Each time the customer would never fully open the door or reveal themselves. Finally, the owner decided to report it to the police, and when they entered the apartment, they discovered that the residents weren't actually alive, instead finding 4 dead bodies on the floor. They were able to tell that the bodies had been dead for a significant amount of time, but still had food in their stomachs from the cafe that was only recently digested. Number 9.
What? That's insane. So you're telling me that this delivery, and they were given money that changed into so-called hell money, if you will, and then when the police showed up, 4 people were dead? That's creepy.
Monster. In 2018, tourists on a beach in Vietnam were shocked by an apparent sea monster that had washed up on shore. One person filming it and uploading it to YouTube for more people to see. The creature is incredibly strange looking, and to me it looks like a bundle of alien twigs or something. The tour guide themselves admitted that they had no idea if it was an animal, a plant, or even something alien.
That's what
a lot of commenters
Hold up. That's what they showed us? Then what is this? This is not this.
That this was some sort of mysterious alien creature.
It does
found
look
on
weird,
Earth, as no one had ever seen anything like it before. Many people speculating that it might be only in its early stages of development and could grow into something bigger and scarier. As it turns out, it's apparently just some sort of scary deep sea starfish, and they ended up returning it to the water.
That's a starfish?
And I will honestly never get over how terrifying and alien looking some deep sea creatures are.
That's not
Number
a starfish.
8, Seven Sisters
Come on.
Rock. This one is another one that comes from Hong Kong, and it's the story behind the Seven Sisters Road. The story goes that there was a group of 7 women who lived near the area, and together they took a vow of celibacy, which means never getting married or ever being physically intimate with someone. Through their pact, they became blood sisters. However, the 3rd sister's family refused to go along with this and organized for her to be married off, preparing the ceremony. Because of their pact, the night before the wedding ceremony took place, all 7 women drowned themselves in the river. The villagers in the area were never able to find their bodies, but the next time the tide receded, they discovered 7 large boulders all in a row. As a result, they were named the Seven Sisters Rocks. Years later, a swimming space was built called the Seven Sisters Swimming Shed, but any late-night male swimmers there would end up drowning mysteriously, the 7 sisters reportedly haunting the space. Number 7.
What? I just don't understand people sometimes. Why would you ever make an agreement upon that and then drown yourself? Really?
Haunted Tomb. Before I start this one, I am just gonna say yes, Israel is in Asia, and yes, I did have to Google that. Go easy on me. It's been a while since I last took a geography class.
I would have never guessed that.
Were doing excavations in an
Is it really in Asia?
cemetery in Israel when they discovered an ancient tomb. What shocked them the most, however, was the grave marker for a man named Jacob the Convert, who died around 1800 years ago. The inscription on the grave was written in human blood and was a warning that nobody should ever open the tomb, stating that anyone who does so would be cursed. What type of curse isn't detailed, but curses are typically never a good thing. The people who found it walled off the area with stones and halted their excavations. Getting cursed probably wasn't in their contract. Number 6.
Probably
Cursed
something
balls.
smart.
More cursed things from Israel. Let's take a look at this pair of cursed balls. And yes, I did pick this one because I think it's funny to say cursed balls. During excavation near the Israel border, archaeologists discovered these 2 ballista balls, which were basically ammunition for a big crossbow that fires rocks. A few years later, the balls went missing from the site, but unfortunately, nobody actually noticed. 20 years later, the balls were returned and found on the site once again, along with a note. The thief who stole them apparently had bad luck and believed that the balls were cursed. He said that when he brought the balls home, his successful business suddenly failed, his family abandoned him, he went into severe debt, and apparently many other issues. He didn't realize until it was too late that his bad luck was caused by a bunch of bad balls. So he returned the balls to the site, and we can only assume that his bad luck ended. Number 5.
If you have a successful business, why are you stealing?
Ganjiam Asylum. Now let's swerve into a few buildings that were discovered to be apparently haunted. The first is Ganjiam Psychiatric Hospital in South Korea, touted as
I'm sorry,
the most
I do
haunted
not
place
like
in the country.
psychiatric
in 1982, but
hospitals.
closed only
I hate
14
them.
years later in
They're so creepy.
1996, being left empty and abandoned. The story goes that many of the patients at the hospital were disappearing mysteriously. People believing that the owner of the hospital was...
And they are always, psychiatric hospitals, always in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by a bunch of trees, and they pick like the creepiest locations
was actually keeping them hostage there and treating them poorly, running away to America when the families and authorities started looking into it. The doctors there apparently became just as insane as the patients, and due to their tragic deaths and unfinished business, the angry spirits of the doctors and patients now haunt the broken down facility. Many urban explorers and ghost hunters report large amounts of paranormal activity and seeing apparitions of the patients within the halls. Number 4, Prince Gong's Mansion. Over in China, one of their most haunted locations is Prince Gong's Mansion, owned by an official of the Qing dynasty who was known to be incredibly corrupt. He lived there with his wife and his harem of around 80 ladies. One of his only redeeming factors was said to be his devotion to his wife. When she became incredibly sick after their son passed away, he did everything to try and figure out a way to cure her, including hiring monks to pray for her health. Unfortunately, they apparently discovered that she was dying of a broken heart, and this was unable to be cured by any method. So unfortunately, the woman would soon pass away. The mansion is now said to be haunted by her spirit,
Can you
as
actually
well as
die
other
of a
women
broken
that the prince
heart?
was involved
What does that
with.
mean?
Most of the reports say that you can hear his wife crying
Like she
late
just
at night, and
wasn't
security
in
guards have
love,
reported
or
seeing apparitions of
is it an
women
actual
in white
like
dresses wandering
disease
through
or
the
something like
halls.
that?
Number 3, soccer team. This one was probably one of the most talked about news stories at the time, even worldwide, and you'll probably remember it once I start talking about it. Back in 2018, a group of British divers were in northern Thailand when they discovered an entire soccer team flooded and trapped over 2 miles inside of a cave. The soccer team had been led to the cave by their coach, who had visited there before. It was supposed to be only a quick expedition lasting around 2 hours, so they brought only flashlights, rope, and batteries, not any food or water. But when a monsoon hit, they became trapped inside, and 2 hours turned into 2 weeks, surviving off water dripping from a stalactite and chanting mantras in order to stay calm. Fortunately, all 12 players were rescued over the course of 3 days and survived, only one rescue team member losing their life in the effort. Number 2, airplane graveyard. One place to visit in Thailand that many people probably don't know about
I've always
is
wanted
this
to visit
airplane
this.
graveyard.
It
Starting
looks
in
so
January of
cool.
2010, large scrapped airplanes
Creepy,
just
but also
suddenly
good.
started showing
Cool.
up on a chunk of private property next to an auto body shop in Bangkok. In 5 years, many large planes were added to the graveyard, and soon after, it was discovered that 3 separate families had taken up residence within the planes. The planes are clearly broken down and have been stripped for their parts, making the site look like the eerie location of like a giant multiple plane crash. The families that live there use the planes as a source of income, taking the parts to be sold and making money off tourists who come to visit. Some of the planes include 2 Boeing 747s and 2 MD-82 jetliners. Gaining access to the property will run you around $5, so if you're in Thailand and interested in planes, maybe consider checking it out. Number 1, hybrid creature. And we are continuing to stay in Thailand for this final entry on the list, which is a strange creature found in a remote village that had people absolutely baffled.
What is that? I'm sorry, but that is ugly.
Footage of the creature shows it laid out on a table surrounded by people. It appears to be a young buffalo, but it has the skin and scales of a crocodile. Many people believing that a crocodile and buffalo somehow fell in love and created this hybrid creature, which died shortly after it was born, which is a pretty common occurrence for hybrid animals. The buffalo had previously birthed plenty of normal calves before, so they didn't think it could have been just some passed down genetic trait, truly believing it must be mixed with a crocodile. The villagers had it laid out on the table because they believed that the creature would bring them good luck. Whether or not it actually did, I'm not sure.
I don't think it did.
Other people online believe that the whole thing was just a hoax.
So
Thank you guys for
creepy.
watching.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you guys all have a fantastic day. Take care.